Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I am Doug Zanger, editor-in-chief and founder of Indie Agency News. Thank you so much for joining us. It is Thursday, January 25th. Let's do some old school radio stuff. Give you the time, I'll give you the weather. I can tell you out here in Portland, yeah, it's cloudy and it's raining. Go figure, in January. Super stoked to have everybody out joining us today. When I started in this business, all I really wanted to do was the work. All I wanted to talk about was the work. And then when I got to the drum and ad week, I got a chance to dig into the work. And this is one of the things we do each week that we love doing, because really agencies are very creative. And that is one of the most unique things about an agency: solving business problems with creative stuff. And the folks that we are going to talk to here shortly have no shortage of creative stuff, to put it mildly. A little bit of programming notes for you. Tomorrow, our next game show, Random Question. We're scheduled to have Jason Sperling, Executive Creative Director of An Ocean, on, and a mystery judge. So all of our game shows are more like British panel shows, because we tried doing live trivia on this and there was like some time lag, so it didn't work. So we're going to go with like the British panel show version. And so we have a mystery judge. That particular show, you pick a number between 1 and 10, you get a random question, and then you have to answer it. And then you're scored on originality, maybe humor, maybe accuracy. And then you get 3 rounds of that, and then you're scored. And then whoever is the winner in season 1 goes on to the Tournament of Champions in December. And then Monday, it's Indie Agency News Radio, talking to Nicola Kemp from Creative Brief, and also Louise Jack from the Brand Tech Group. We're talking about women in marketing. And then Tuesday, Indie Thinking Live, Jason Bagley, 16 years at Wieden & Kennedy. We're going to talk about the indie creative journey. And then Wednesday, of course, is Meet an Indie Agency. We're going to go to Minneapolis, my original hometown. I was born outside of Minneapolis, lived there till I was 12, in the agency Latitude. And you heard a little Midwest there. Sorry. Oh my gosh. But today, and at this moment, it is all about indie work. And I want to kick off with this. Let's start with this.
This is the first time that we as a species have ever sent out a travel ad inviting aliens to come visit.
Lexington, Kentucky just beamed the world's first interstellar travel ad into outer space. With the help of local scientists and scholars, VisitLEX created an advertising campaign designed to invite extraterrestrials to visit Lexington. Using a modified laser, the message was aimed at the TRAPPIST-1 star system, 40 light years away.
We're targeting the TRAPPIST-1 system because we might actually get an answer in somebody's lifetime if there's somebody there watching. But the reason scientists have been interested in it lately is because of the large number of planets that it has and what it's considered to be the habitable zone. So there could be life there. Why not send a signal and see if they answer?
The message contains a bitmap key with prime numbers, the elements of life, molecules for water, ethanol, and dopamine, plus horses and Lexington's iconic bluegrass landscape. The message also contained a collection of images representing Lexington, a selfie from the transmission event, and an audio recording from local blues legend T.D. Young.
Of all of the things that we've been beaming into space, why not a positive, friendly message? I think saying, hey, we're nice and friendly people, we have horses and bourbon and dopamine, don't eat us.
We have this neat hub of creativity. It's just people who get to have the freedom to think a little bit differently. It does seem as if it's this place that is very welcoming.
Here's our chance to really demonstrate that we are a beautiful culture, a beautiful community, and that we want to share that with the galaxy, that we're the best place on Earth.
The message was sent with FAA approval from the Kentucky Horse Park. So far, no unusual activity has been reported in the skies above Lexington, but we'll be waiting.
Horses and bourbon. And where do I even start with you? Big Whit Hiler, Jonathon Spalding.
Big Jonathon Spalding.
Big Jonathon Spalding. Yeah, that was the thing. What was like, we should, and it's all caps. Which
I wanted us all to have big in front of our names.
That gives it more. That gives it more gravity, I suppose. But welcome. And I'm sorry. It's so funny because when I was at Adweek and at the Drum, it's like, hey, something from Cornett is like in the queue, and then I would just immediately smile and be like, all right, cool, what is it? And so I think that you've built this reputation in a good way, by the way, in a very good way, where and you and I have talked about this, Whit, where it's you're in Lexington, you're in this place that is unique. It's a college town. It's, there are a lot of just really interesting points about it. And the work that you've consistently done just always breaks out and breaks through. And you could look at it and be like, oh, big agency did that. But how do you attribute just overall the reputation? Because Visit Lexington, longstanding client, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but I want to understand the culture of working to a point where you're always trying to do work that's breaking through.
Yeah. You want me to take that, Jonathon?
Go for it, big dog.
With VisitLEX, they've been a client for around 10 years. And over those 10 years, we've done a lot of really wild stunts. Their main goal is, to get heads in beds here in Lexington. But another goal we established with them was to become one of the most talked about tourism destinations in the world. And we do that through those stunts. And, typically every year we try and get a couple big hits for them. And sometimes it's a big hit, sometimes it's a small hit. But they're looking for it, and we are always like on that mission to do that for them. And the last 3 years we've delivered big time. There was the Queen's Gambit room when that show was popping off. Part of that show takes place in Lexington. We did the hotel room. That was a huge success. I think close to like 1 billion impressions. And then last year we did the horse kicks, which just killed it.
Yeah, that was a heater, as we like to say.
Yeah, tons of press, 3 billion impressions. And then this year it's aliens. And it's like, how do you get the world talking about Lexington, Kentucky? Do something out of this world.
Yeah, and the thing is that these are huge. It's Fast Company, USA Today. I'm going through here, space.com. I'm presuming that's a good site. But
it was on the front page of the USA Today Weekender.
Right. That's my point, is that you're doing these things that break through, and obviously it's early days on this, but what sort of I forget, somebody had sent that number of placements, because once it gets out into the universe, you like 800 placements right now, or just something ridiculous like that, Jonathon, Whit?
Yeah, it's like 650 placements, and then there's like 160 clips, broadcast clips. So yeah.
Oh my God.
860.
Well, it sounds like you got your case study done. You don't need to worry about this.
Jonathon's already working on it.
Schlub like me talking about it, and you've got local news in Missoula, Montana, busting that one out. You don't need that from me. You need that clip.
Yeah, I had a friend who has a friend in Ireland, and that friend in Ireland sent her a photograph of the newspaper there. I think it was the Irish Times, and they were talking about it. So
I love it. It's
all over the place.
So, Jonathon, how long have you been at the agency?
I've been here 10 years.
Okay, so you've been here from the jump. So what I want you to do is I want you to dig in and break down this work and walk us through that process and what the thinking was, again, the bar is often set very, very high. Horse kicks, we looked at it and said, well, how are they going to top that? You may have done that with this. So walk us through the thinking.
Yeah, I mean, Whit kind of alluded to it. Lexington is, we're really proud to be from Lexington, but it is kind of an overlooked city, you know, and we're in a state that's often misunderstood and unfairly stereotyped. And so earned media has been our way of getting our name out there and inserting ourselves into culture and, you know, reaching people that otherwise would never have a reason to think twice about Lexington. So one of the things that we hear about when people come to Lexington is that it's unexpectedly cool. And people are kind of always surprised about what we've got here. So we try to embody that in our brand as well. And so I think that's why you've seen a horse kicks and an aliens come out as kind of embodies that spirit of unexpectedly cool. And it helps us raise awareness of Lexington and hopefully be able to, you know, change some of those misperceptions little by little. So this one started.
I was just going to say real quick, like the misperception thing. I think I understand that to a degree. And I do like this idea of an unexpected place, because I think if you go to Cincinnati, you go over into Covington, and then, you know, Louisville is Louisville. You know, I think Lexington being a college town, there may be some built-in advantages to that. Am I wrong? Or am I like potentially a little bit right?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Being a college town, we've kind of got this youthful energy and this creativity here that you might not think about, or you might not realize when you think about Kentucky. So, you know, that drives a lot of the culture of the city. And it's, you know, it's great because we've got a creative agency here too that obviously benefits from it.
Right. Absolutely. Let's go into, I'm going to share this real quick. Let's walk through the work. And so let's start with the brief. Tell us about the brief. And I'm sitting here like thinking, what are they going to say about the brief? Because if you have a client for 10 years, there tends to be a shorthand. And so I'm curious about what a brief looks like coming from such a long-standing client.
Do you want to talk to that, Jonathon?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we've done so many of these earned activations that it's kind of old hat at this point, but the brief is typically very similar in that we're trying to do something that gets people talking about Lexington, and not only talking, but thinking about Lexington in maybe a different way than they would have on their own. And so that's really as simple as it gets for us in a lot of ways. And, you know, we always want to show the best parts of Lexington. We want to show that we're friendly and diverse and welcoming, and point to these very unique offerings like horses and bourbon and landscape. So that's really the brief. I mean, from there, it's really about finding that cultural insight.
Yeah. And I have to imagine that affords a level of creative freedom when you know that, I don't want to say the brief is consistent, but the brief at least, you know, is somewhat locked in. So let's walk through the process of this one. Obviously things, you know, change and morph during the process. What and I will walk me through. Let's walk through this. So there's the alien, there's the horse. And I'm not going to share pictures of our horse. Maybe I will. She's a doll. So let's go walk us through this, because we start here.
Yeah, this is the cover image, so to speak, of our campaign. This was the very first thing that we sent out with the laser. And
the laser
with a laser. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
DIY laser.
Right.
Yeah.
DIY laser. Oh my God.
Yeah. So this is kind of meant to establish communication. And it's inspired by some things that have been sent out into space in the past.
Right.
The Arecibo message is a famous example and this is, if you go look up that message, it does look very similar. It starts out the same way. You've got prime numbers. And that's the thinking there, is that, you know, this is sent out in bursts of light. Right. So if you encode prime numbers in binary bursts of light and someone on the other end is looking, they would know that that's not an organic pattern. That's not
like
something
Morse
that occurs
code,
naturally.
like a version of Morse code. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
like, exactly.
Okay.
And then from there, we took, there was a message that was sent to the TRAPPIST system a couple years ago that actually a group of scientists sent. One of the things they sent was the periodic table of elements.
Right.
So we built on that and referred to that. That's that second row. Those are the elements of life. So oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, and carbon. And then from there, we built on that with some of our favorite molecules, water and ethanol, because that's the main ingredients of bourbon.
Right.
And then dopamine, because Lexington's fun.
Okay.
And it like the heart of this, I mean, just there's so much conversation around space travel.
Yeah.
And then the aliens and the government reporting, you know, like all of that stuff.
What's going there, Jonathan? He said
I was just
government.
gonna say, I mean, it was popping off, and Jonathan was like, had this idea, like we gotta do something with aliens.
Yep.
But I think it's funny because we talked about it, and it's like, yeah, let me find an expert, and he found this guy, Dr. Lauder. But when you had that conversation with him about what you wanted to do, he just, he got all into it and got you all pumped up for it.
Yeah, I mean, we knew we had an idea, and actually, it's a kind of a funny story of where it came from. We were in a media meeting actually, and our media director Chris Finnegan was talking about terrestrial radio, and I must have been off in space. So I, probably like many before me, had the thought of, has anyone done extraterrestrial radio? And then you quickly realize you've got a tourism client, and maybe that's an untapped market, and there's no way anybody's done it before, invited travelers to come from outer space. And so we kind of knew we had an idea. It started as like, oh, well, let's just build this makeshift radio transmitter and go out to a field and send it up. But then when we started reaching out, and we found Dr. Lauder, and the guy's a genius. There's Dr. Lauder right there. He's an expert in a lot of things, biochemistry, computer engineering, but he's also got this passion for astrobiology and SETI, which is search for extraterrestrial intelligence. So he knows all about this stuff. We lucked out. This guy's a Lexington guy. He understood immediately what we were going for. Right. And he's writing a paper about it, because it turned into a very scientific endeavor for him.
Sure. No, that makes total sense. Yeah. I mean, listen, we're having fun with it, but also underpinning some of the stuff is very real things. And that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
so the
it does
laser,
go back to that university city and this creative culture in Lexington. I mean, all of these ideas, these big hits we've had, we've always been able to find these super talented and creative locals to help us bring it to life, bring that vision to life. So it's becomes like more than just a VisitLEX and Cornett thing. We're bringing in all of these other people that have these passions around, whether it's reconstructing footwear or interior design or SETI, so we've been able to find everything we need right here in Lexington.
Yeah.
So
and
many experts.
Yeah. And I think that you just hit on something really important, Whit, is that, I'm sorry, Big Whit, you can start with the idea and you can get to a certain point, and it could be very, very good, but to get it to that next step, it's interesting because it feels like you finish about 80% of it. And then that 20% of taking the extra time to find the expert, to find the people that are real craft and practitioners of the idea you want to build, there's authenticity in that, because it's very easy to try to fake it. But in this case, this adds this level to it. And honestly, I mean, that last 20% is what makes it or breaks it from either really good to what we're looking at now.
Totally.
So, I mean, talk about that a little bit, because again, it could be very easy just to get to that point. How do you push yourself in that respect?
Jonathan.
Yeah, I mean, I think you said it, Doug. It's about trying to take it to the most authentic place possible. And I mean, we're in marketing, and a lot of what we're doing is stunts, and it's meant for publicity. But
Sure.
if you can approach it with an earnestness and make it as real as it possibly can be, and build in that authenticity that you don't really get anywhere else. So it makes it unique to Lexington. It makes it ownable to Lexington, because we do have these these people right here, and then you have people that can just educate you on a topic that you know nothing about at the onset.
Right.
So that's a big part of it too. Is
right.
I'm down the wormhole. Knew very little about this stuff. Was curious about it, but it's been so much fun, and the conversations are fascinating, as you can imagine.
Oh God. I mean,
another thing to note with VisitLEX, like, they have an audience of travelers they're trying to attract to Lexington, but one of their audiences is their locals. And, that's like highlighting locals, but also like you look at the top reasons people travel, it's to visit family and friends. So, there is that piece of like highlighting locals, but then doing these unexpected things, like the locals love it. Like, like, this is so cool. I'd never expect my city to send an ad, to aliens in space, but they share it out to their friends and family, and they get all pumped up. So, and we are the, I think we were just named like the third friendliest city in America. So it does make sense for us to invite aliens here.
So who are 2 and 1? So I would say what? Philadelphia and
I think we were third. We were top 10, according
10?
to, maybe it was like a travel and leisure list.
Okay. No, I like that. Real quick, before we get into the topic that I love asking about, which is selling in the work. I don't have the right bell here. I guess we're ringing the bell because you guys, A&W, baby, congratulations. I mean, there we go. 10 years. So 10 years with VisitLEX, and now we got 10 years with A&W. Now I'll tell you a story. When I was a kid in Minnesota, we used to go to the A&W drive-in where you'd sit there and eat. It's like there's this nostalgic thing. But damn, the food's good.
It's great. And yeah,
but congratulations. Honestly, I mean, competitive category, competitive industry. You're proving that indies work.
Totally. Indies kick ass.
So what does that feel like? What was the celebration like when you found out that business was staying in the door?
We partied hard. I mean, I would say it was like a 10-day bender,
Right. That would be hard to explain.
I don't even drink, so
right. No, I know.
But Jonathon had a 10-day bender.
Yeah, there we go. No, but that's really, really exciting. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And I know that you want to get a bourbon client in there. We've talked about that before in your Meet and Indie Agency segment, which we're going to rebroadcast here fairly soon. But here's one that I love asking this question to everybody, because it is one of those age-old things. How do you sell in the work? How do you sell in a good idea to the client? Now, Visit Lexington, a little easy. I don't want to say easier, but a little different than with some other clients. So I'm interested in how you sell through work and what you believe is the best way to sell through work. Jonathon, do you want to go first on this?
I think Whit should go first on this.
Okay, good. It's like a game show. Pass.
I know he's got a good answer in the can. That's why.
Well, I love selling. My first career was in car sales.
Yes.
And that is a grind. But it's, and I always say, like, coming into advertising with that sales experience kind of gave me a leg up. I think when it comes to selling ideas and like really pushing them and then not letting go of them if the client does say no, finding another client that might say yes.
Right.
But it's really, I mean, the thing with cars is you're selling features and benefits. You can't just sell the features and expect somebody to pay $30,000 for something. Right. You have to like show all the benefits. And I think that's the same with ideas. It's like, how is this, how and why? Like, how's this going to work? Why are people going to like it? It's putting those ideas through a lot of different questions. But then when you go in to pitch it, you have all of those objections that they may have in mind already kind of answers to. And you just, like with car sales, it takes 10 no's to get a yes. Sometimes that's the same with ideas. And you're right. Yeah. Some clients are more open to it than others, and it's a little easier to sell, but it's just being, I think, persistent with it, but really showing the value in that idea.
Right. Well, I hate to break it to everybody, but everyone's in sales, especially creatives.
Totally.
Yeah. Yeah. Jonathon, anything to add to that?
Yeah. I mean, I think for us, the partnership is so important because that success kind of builds. So you get them to buy an idea that it feels bold and new, and then you have success with it, especially, in this our media space. And it's an adrenaline rush when something like that happens. And then you want more of it, and then they want more of it. And so the more you can sell those ideas in and get those wins, the easier it is to sell bigger ideas. And that's what's happened, especially with VisitLEX, over the 10 years, we've taken those hits and just, they've gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. And part of that is just because VisitLEX is they get it. They know the benefit that earned media especially can have. And then we've kind of earned their trust that we're going to take care of it and we're going to do it right. And everything's going to be okay. So,
yeah, no, I like that.
Trust is a big piece of that.
Trust is a biggie. Trust is absolutely the biggest. Well, I want to thank both Big Whit, Hiler. It has to be like real quick. You have to say it quickly. It can't be Big Whit, Hiler. Big Whit.
Big Whit.
Yeah. You can trail that out. That works. Yeah. Jonathon Spalding. Thank you both for joining us. Stay backstage for me for a minute so I can give you a proper goodbye. Wave goodbye to everybody at the audience here. So say aloha. All right. I'm going to put you all both backstage. Thanks for joining us. All right. And that wraps it up for another Indie Work Live. We do this every week. Next week. I think we're doing something with Fast Horse, Indie Agency News members. They're out of Minneapolis, going back to the hometown again. And I want to thank everybody for joining us. I especially want to thank our members here at Indie Agency News. Membership gets you priority. Membership gets you an opportunity to collaborate and communicate with other indies. Membership gives you priority on everything. And we'd like you to explore that with us. Go to indieagency.news. If you get there, you can click on the little WhatsApp bug in the lower right. That gets right to me. Otherwise, you can email me at Zanger, Zanger, at indieagency.news. On behalf of everybody here at Indie Agency News, thanks so much for joining us, and we will see you next time.